Hi there, welcome to SportsCenter from the nation's capital. I'm Scott Van Pelt. We'll break down the heavyweight battle between Houston and Iowa State on the way. TJ Otzelberger will join us after the comeback victory. Also, we'll visit with Boog, Sciambi, and Fran Fraschilla, who continue to steal money broadcasting the Big 12. Joe Lunardi will join us as we get geared up for March. And the big man in the building, some bad beats on the way, Daytona. Anyway, shall we? We get right back out to Hilton Magic. TJ Otzelberger joins us. Hey, it's Scott Van Pelt. Welcome after the comeback victory, Coach. Down 10 against a team who's built on toughness, and you were a little bit tougher. What allowed your guys to come back and win in the manner in which you did tonight?
Well, we're fortunate. We have such great leadership on our team. Taman Lipsy, Joshua Jefferson, Milan Momcilovic. Those guys are unbelievable leaders, and they bring it every single day for our team. And fortunate to have so much pride in our program. This fan base is amazing. We're fortunate to have the best fans in the country, and I think Hilton Magic is that rallying. Our amazing fans, our great leaders, our awesome players, just really feeling fortunate.
I asked Bill Self this recently after they beat Arizona in fog. If I ask you to describe the value of that place tonight and how they propel you to victory, I don't know that it's even definable, but if you gave it your best shot, I mean, how much value was in those stands tonight as you guys are down 10 and end up coming out on the right side?
Yeah, tremendous value. I mean, I've been so fortunate to work for the last 3 head coaches here who I have tremendous respect for, and to be part of so many great games. And now to be able to do that as a head coach, it couldn't be with more humility and more thankfulness that we're in this position for our fans, for this building, and what they bring every game. It's truly, it's incredible.
Your guys shot the ball remarkably well in the first half, but you're 1 of 11 from 3 in the second half. But the last 2, if the freshman makes one and then Heisey makes another, I guess that's a matter of coaching and faith and belief. But how big were those threes in sequence given the situation and the score?
Yeah, they were huge. I mean, look, Bateman, as a freshman, I've said it over and over, there's not a freshman that's had better habits and wants to win more and do the right thing more than Jamarian Bateman. He's phenomenal for us tonight. And then Nate Heisey, he's been the heartbeat of our team. We've talked about it so many times. For our team to be at our best, we need Nate Heisey on the court, and we need him at the best. And tonight he stepped up in a major way. Just really proud of those guys.
Last one, because I know you want to get to your guys and celebrate this tremendous victory. TJ, toughness is part of Coach Sampson's program and yours as well. Ultimately, though, you got to execute. So I'm interested in how you value the toughness versus the ability to execute when maybe toughness ain't going to be enough. You're going to have a play that wins you a game.
Well, look, we have tremendous respect for the Houston program, for Coach Sampson and everything he's done for so many years, and it brings out the best in us. And so for us to be able to compete against them is an honor. And look, at the end of the game, you know, you got players that you believe in and players you can count on. So there's the execution piece, but then there's guys just stepping up and making plays, and our guys really stepped up and made those plays.
Indeed, they did. I believe this might be the first chance we've had to visit. That's long overdue, and I'm happy it's after you beat a number 2 team, because I can't think of a much better time. Thanks for taking the time to visit. BYU coming up this weekend. Travel well, and I appreciate you taking the time tonight.
Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it.
Boog and Fran join me. Fellas, apologies. I said you guys are stealing money, but you guys know it's true. I feel like every time we talk, it's after an incredible game. And Boog, I was asking Coach, I'm interested in your vantage point. There's toughness, there's execution, and there's just somehow coming out on the right end of it. From what you saw, how the hell did Iowa State win this game tonight?
Yeah, I think you're hitting on the 2 things, right? I mean, you could sit there and talk disruption and collision, but you've still got to execute. And the shot clock winding down, and Heisey hits that shot. Look, these are 2 really well-coached teams. They play exceptionally hard, and then, as you touched on with TJ Otzelberger, this atmosphere was something else.
Fran, the conversation we've had about fog, I would apply it here. When I say Hilton Magic and all the nights you've sat there, describe this one to me and what was required to erase a double-digit deficit against Kelvin and Houston.
You know, when you play in this building for the Cyclone, Scott, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. The magic is real because it doesn't matter what the deficit is. The fans will not let you lose. They will give you a chance to play your heart out. And Allen Fieldhouse, St. Patrick's Cathedral basketball.
Sure.
This place, they haven't been used to winning for 50 or 100 years. So when they've had George Niang and Monte Morris and more recently these guys and now TJ, this is such an appreciative fan base. I always say it this way, nice is in the DNA of people in Ames, and they love their team, and you see it every time they're in a big game.
I'm making notes down the stretch because I truly don't know what I'm going to be asking you about, right? And Lipsy goes to the line, and he's missing free throws. These are winning plays, and he's not making them. And then when the rebound comes off and it's time to make the winning play, who makes it? Lipsy. I think that's part of the DNA of the program too, isn't it? Just the ability to make winning plays when they have to be made.
Yeah, he's the embodiment of that. I don't think there's any question. And it's funny, you talked about us chatting. We talked during commercial breaks right around the under 4, the under 8, and multiple times this year we've been in spots and you've been asking, well, do you think they can come back? And here tonight, we were right in the middle of it with Houston holding on to a pretty good lead. And you said you think Hilton Magic can deliver one more. And, yeah, we sit here and tell you the answer is yes.
And, Scotty, this kid, Tamin Lipsy, he grew up playing high school basketball 2 miles from Hilton Coliseum. He was offered a scholarship in 8th grade. His mom and dad work at the university. He's a 4-year starter. But the most important thing about him is TJ Otzelberger has told us since the summer, Tamin makes, they call it here, Tamin plays. And it's not a basket, it's not an assist, it's just a Tamin play, and he comes up with them time and time again.
And Joshua Jefferson was excellent as well. Heisey didn't really have time to think about it. It was a catch and fire because the shot clock's winding down. And that ends up being the difference. Had Houston won, I was going to ask you about Kingston Flemings. And even in defeat, Fran, I just want to ask you as a coach, what is the trait that you appreciate most about this freshman who slips in that last sequence there, but made so many difference-making plays for Houston throughout the game?
Well, the best way to put it, Scotty, is when you play as a freshman for Kelvin Sampson, you have to be special, and he is special. And what's beautiful about him is that he chose a school where he could have went to other places that are great programs. He chose a school where he knew he was going to get coached hard every single day. And I'll say this, he probably left some NIL money on the table with some other great programs, but on June 24th, he will make all that money back and more.
He was special tonight, but so is the atmosphere. So are these games. They deliver, and I'm kidding about stealing money. You guys are earning every penny. Get the per diem, too. You guys are great. I enjoy visiting with you. Thanks for hanging out a little bit extra to talk with us here on SportsCenter, all right?
Thanks, Scotty.
All right, thanks, boys. Sciambi, Fran Fraschilla, fantastic job covering the loaded Big 12 to the first game of our doubleheader on a night where there was royalty in the building. Carmelo Anthony, Carlos Boozer there watching their sons. You have Cooper Flagg, Conker Nipple there. And it's all Devils. Cam Boozer, Caden wide open. You do it. My brother, he does. Duke up 8. Cam, bully ball down low. Head fake with the left. The Fundy, Steve.
Gotta have him.
Double-double for Boozer at the half. Caden. Let's run. Isaiah Evans up top.
Gongbo hustle play.
Shooter with the bounce. It's an 11-0 run to end it, and Duke is rolling, and man, they put it on him. Evans, catch and shoot from 3 on the break. That's the modern game personified. Evans had 21. Cam, down low. Again with the left off the window, up 22. Again, it's Boozer on the way to a 22-point, 12-rebound night. His 8th 20-point double-double, the most among Division I freshmen. Duke, 101-64. Devils win by 37, which is the largest ever against Syracuse. Stanford Stephen, anything you want to point out about Syracuse?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. We welcome for the first time this year, Joe Lunardi. Great to be with you, Joe. We've got some runway between now and March, so this result tonight won't drastically change things, I don't think, but I'm interested from your perspective on what it means for the two respective sides.
Let's start with the loser because they lost the most, at least in terms of immediate opportunity, Scott. We were ready to move Houston up to the top line ahead of UConn had they pulled it off at Hilton, and it sure looked that way up 10 in the second half. But a long way to go, as you say, and it may actually be a favor to UConn, and we can come back to this, for them to drop to a 2 and not be in Houston's region in Houston, but the next 4 weeks will tell us more. Iowa State keeps its hand in the game for potentially a 1 seed. We know there's going to be a Big 12 team on the top line. It's been Arizona this whole time, but you know, they've lost 2 in a row, so there's some vulnerability there. Both solid 2s as we put tonight's bracket to bed.
As you look at the depth of the Big 12, how many potential, I started to say top 4, I'd rather narrow it even further. I'm talking top 3 seeds. How many might we see from the Big 12 if form holds for some of these squads?
We could see 5 if you throw in Kansas and Texas Tech. Tech moving up to the 3 line after that big win Saturday night in Tucson against Arizona, joining, of course, the big 3 of Arizona, Houston, and Iowa State. You could do worse than taking those 5 against the field about a month from now.
Yeah, they're loaded. I feel like last year the SEC was so deep and top-heavy. This year the Big 12 certainly is. In terms of the conference you see, Joe, that might have the biggest disparity between its best-case scenario and its worst-case scenario in terms of inclusion when we get to March, who are you looking at?
I think I'd go with the SEC, Scott, on that one. It's not last year where, you know, it was a perfect storm. 14 out of 16 teams made it. I don't think we'll see that again. It also took some down years elsewhere, particularly in the ACC, to free up enough spots for it to happen. But they could get 11 or 12. They could get 8 or 9 because they have so many teams on the bubble, including Missouri, currently our first team out. Keep an eye on Texas A&M and Georgia. They're sliding a bit. They've dropped into a double-digit seed territory as 10s, and that makes for some nervous play the last 4 weeks. Yeah,
I could see some SEC teams that might be seeded lower that would scare the hell out of me if I saw them opposite me on a bracket, just given the depth of that league. You mentioned UConn a moment ago. The Big East, we're men of a certain age. We remember it a certain way. This is not your, I'd say your granddad, that might be us. This is not the best of the Big East. How many teams come out of that conference, do you reckon?
It's only going to be 3 unless Seton Hall gets on a serious run. They had 5 last year, 3 the year before. Now, 2 years ago, there were so many bid thieves it really hurt Seton Hall and St. John's in particular. But I just think when you look at the Big East, all that talk we heard about, hey, we don't have to dedicate NIL and revenue sharing to football, we're not seeing that manifesting itself on the court. UConn is UConn. They've taken Villanova's mantle and become every bit as good as the Jay Wright peak at Villanova. But after that, St. John's, I think, is actually underachieving, at least relative to preseason expectations. Villanova overachieving a little bit. And, you know, they're going to be back in the mix, but don't look like a deep NCAA team to me. Really, only UConn looks like it has Final Four potential.
I don't know. That St. John's game in the Garden a couple weeks ago, I mean, you had Hurley calling them grown-ass men when it was done. I feel like I agree they didn't start well, but I feel like the St. John's we're seeing right now looks like what we thought that it might be. Now, I want to close with this, and it's an unbeaten team in Miami O. And the reason that the metrics aren't in their favor has a lot to do with the fact that nobody will play them outside of the MAC. And I guess I get it. You don't want to have them come to your gym and beat you. But it doesn't leave them with much wiggle room. Joe, is this a team that has to not only win out in the regular season, but can't afford a loss in the conference tournament, or they're not going to make it?
I think they can afford a loss in the conference tournament, Scott, for this reason. The optics of leaving an undefeated team out of the Division I national championship when you've completed the season unbeaten, I just can't fathom any selection committee doing that. Now, a regular season loss, and I'm telling you, tomorrow night at UMass is a tricky spot for the Redhawks. UMass new to the MAC. Yeah, and they've had a lot of close calls. But historically, we've had 6 undefeated regular season teams since seeding began in 1979. They've all been number 1 seeds. And here we are talking about Miami on the bubble. The respect for mid-major basketball continues to go in the wrong direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, didn't UMass and Coach Martin take him to overtime in Oxford earlier this year, and now they get him up there in Amherst. Is that by Groton, Steve?
No.
Not by Groton. I'm not a geography major. You know what, Joe? They told me we had a lot of room. I said me and Joe can eat it up, and guess what? We did. We'll save the rest for another day. I look forward to visiting as we get closer to the brackets. Thank you for your time.